Well, hello there, and welcome back to EVE Online. We have just finished making our character, and hopefully this name is still available, but I think after all these years of EVE being active, if I was able to make a character a few days ago called the Bald Eagle, then this should still be usable right now. So let's just go ahead and enter the game and see what kind of crazy stuff we can get up to in this brilliant MMO. I should say that EVE it's not the best MMO I have ever played. It is perhaps the second. The best I've ever played was Star Wars Galaxies. Not Star Wars The Old Republic, but Star Wars Galaxies. That is the best MMO I have ever played, but EVE comes in at a very big second and is, in my opinion, the best MMO out there to this day. And the fact that it has been going since 2000, I think it was 3. Was it 3? 2003. Yeah, it's just amazing. So, anyway, no reason to hear me yapping on. Let's just get on with it.
New Eden, a universe brimming with possibility and rife with adventure. Only the most intrepid capsuleers can conquer its many wonders. Do you have what it takes to become one with the machine? To explore the far reaches of space, carving out a name for yourself among the stars. To become a titan of industry, amassing wealth, power, and prestige as you rise above your rivals. Or to prove your worth in combat, cementing new alliances and vanquishing your foes on your path to glory. For the rare few, immortality awaits. With AIR's Capsuleer training program, you become the architect of your own destiny.
This is definitely new. They did not have this back when I started playing EVE.
Greetings, Captain. I am Aura, your AI companion. I am here to help you find your way through New Eden. Welcome to the first day of your new life as a Capsuleer. I am now transferring your pod into a ship, provided by AIR as part of your Captain, an unidentified communicator. Vectoring escape route. Evacuation sequence initiated. Station hull integrity compromised.
This is definitely new. And here we are, in space.
Captain, this cloning facility was attacked before your capsule could be inserted into a ship. I initiated our evacuation sequence before we reached the hangar to avoid certain death. No need to thank me.
So that ship she said she was going to transfer me into, that was a faction battleship. It's called a Nestor, if I remember correctly. I don't think we will be starting the game with a Nestor. If they did that, then they definitely upped the new player experience. I do not believe we will be getting placed into a Nestor. Whoa. Okay, so this is actually looking really cool. I mean, I always thought that EVE was such a beautiful game. And I think that cutscene, I think that every cutscene in EVE is actually recorded from in-game footage. But yeah, this is so pretty. I always loved the visuals of EVE. Always.
This baptism by fire is certainly not what Air had planned for your first day in a pod. Rest assured, I am here to help.
And again, this was not here when I started playing Eve back in the day. There was no tutorial, there was no aura. There was an aura, but she was not voiced. It was just very, very basic text, just telling you fuck all and just, good luck, have fun, basically.
I'm unable to identify our attackers, but they are not currently targeting our capsule. This gives us time to locate a ship.
I hope it's the Nestor. I really hope we get the battle.
Your pod may be able to fly through space, but like all capsules, it is unarmed. A proper ship comes with proper weaponry. We must scan the debris for a space worth. Now, let's get a better look at our surroundings. Ah, there is a ship still capable of flight. An Astero, no less. A fine ship indeed. I have highlighted the navigation section of your display. Use it to approach the ship.
I know it says civilian Astero, and the civilian is a term used for very basic starter items that are basically worthless, but are we actually getting an Astero as our starter ship? So yeah, basically you can see we are 7,000 meters away from it. We just need to... they also changed the sort of target ridicule here. No, is that just because it's part of the tutorial? That's also new, this little effect here. That used to be just very, very basic stuff to see what you had selected. And now we can board the ship. Such a cool looking ship. I mean, Eve has so many great ship designs.
Our shields took significant damage in the attack.
So yeah, as she said, you have 3 layers. The outer layer is shield, all red, meaning our shield is all gone. Then you have armor, and then you have structure. If you should ever lose your structure, it will of course, first you will lose your shield. Then as you start to approach the end of your shield's hit points, damage will start to bleed through into the armor. There are skills and items that can affect that, but you will start taking armor damage before your shield is completely destroyed. Shields will recharge on their own. Armor won't, neither will structure. Those can only be repaired by either other players or by items you can equip on your ships, but we will get into that. But if you ever lose your structure, so first shields are gone, then armor, and then structure. If your structure is gone, then your ship blows up and you are then ejected into your pod. If your pod is destroyed, you die. You don't really die in Eve, but I'm sure we will get into that.
The armor is also in need of repair. I believe the appropriate idiom for this situation is, we're screwed.
Yeah, but we're in a
Fortunately,
Astero.
the cavalry has arrived. Ships bearing air transponders are approaching our location.
This is Balin Ferris, Commander of Air Security. All ships evacuating this cloning facility are advised to rendezvous at emergency coordinates.
Hello there, Balin.
Several thousand civilians appear to have survived the attack. Let us make haste and join the fleet Commander Ferris is organizing. Your overview will display the ships in your vicinity.
So the approach option basically just tells you to fly towards the ship, and it will then just
Captain,
bump into...
your vessel looks like it's seen better days. I'll repair you once you're in range.
There is no collision damage you can fly
Commander
into.
Ferris, were you able to determine the identity of our attackers?
Negative, Aura. Their transponders were cloaked and their hulls lacked any identifying information. I'd wager this was an act of corporate espionage turned violent. There are a lot of people in New Eden who want to get their hands on Air's technology, whatever the cost.
Thanks to Commander Ferris's repairs, our ship is almost as good as new. At his command, We will proceed to the emergency coordinates.
So yeah, I know I said that you needed other players to repair structure and armor, and you can see he just repaired our armor. His shield will regain on itself, it will, but you can also boosts, which is basically repair your shields, and you can also get shield repaired boosted by other players, or in this case an NPC.
All ships enter warp formation.
But we will get into armor and shield tanking and how to do that stuff a bit later. Not actually sure. I haven't played this tutorial before, so I don't really know what's going on. This is definitely new. I mean, I have made new characters during the years I played EVE, and there were a lot of upgrades to the new player experience, but this is new. I have no idea when they introduced this. This is like a whole story that actually kicks off. I mean, they did upgrade the sort of the one I had when I started playing EVE, where you were just placed in a ship told to target.
We've now arrived at Air's designated emergency evacuation zone. We'll be safe here while we regroup.
They did do a upgrade to that experience where Aura was being voiced and she told you what to do. And I think they basically just changed the starting experience that I have with just voicing Aura and then her telling you what to do and then showing, like they have done here, with which buttons to click, but you were still just left in a station. I'm actually very surprised to see what happens in this tutorial.
A spot well chosen. This location's cosmic abnormalities will mask our warp signatures from detection. But our appreciation of New Eden's natural wonders will have to wait.
No, it won't, because EVE has always, as I said, been such a pretty game, and they definitely upgraded a lot of visuals since last I played. I wonder if these, and I'll use a lot of terms in EVE that I will try and remember to explain later, but the pockets in EVE, I wonder if these are sort of, I think this is unique to this experience, to this tutorial of course, but I wonder what they did to the sort of pockets in general in EVE. Also called rooms.
Captain, I could use your help. My sensors are picking up a strange signal nearby, but my forces are stretched thin defending the civilian fleet.
But yeah, as I said, approach simply just flies towards the target. There's no collision damage. You can fly into other players, you can fly into other ships, into stations, and your ship will not take damage. You will do something called bouncing, where if you fly into another player, there's a sort of collision detection. If you fly into another ship, you will, of course, hit the ship, and that ship will then bounce off, and you will also bounce off. And that is a big no-no in soft warfare when you need to do something called bridging through a Titan. If you approach the Titan and you bounce the Titan, a bump. I think it's actually called bump instead of bounce. But if you bump the Titan, then you
Captain, hostiles inbound.
You owe everyone around.
We have to defend those unarmed civilian transports. All ships equipped for combat, form up around me.
That's not me. I'm not equipped for combat. I have no weapons, goddammit. So orbit is simply just you orbiting, circling your target. In this case, you can see we are orbiting him at 1250 meters.
That attacked the cloning facility.
Oh, they have a mechanical and Megatrons. Hostile battleship. Oh, that's an Gnosis.
Several
Fucking
frigates
ugly
breaking
ship.
away from the pack. They're targeting those civilian ships.
That should be a Dramiel.
This will be your first combat experience.
I'm gonna butcher a lot of
Capsuleer.
these names.
Time to show these hostiles what you're truly made of.
You want me to go up against the Dramiel? Yeah, sure. Let's just do that. Orbit the enemy. I have
too
no.
far away,
Oh,
Captain.
I have guns.
Thankfully, our ship is equipped with a module that will boost our speed.
Ship's interface. We will get into that. Weapons in the called high slots. Then you have mid slots, and then you have low slots. So let's just boost. Let's approach
We're
him.
now within range. Lock your target.
So the afterburner, you can see it's a civilian afterburner, meaning that it's a pretty shit item. But you can see our normal max velocity without is 345 meters per second. And with the afterburner on, we can fly 555 meters per second. It then tells us to lock the target, so let's do that.
Target lock confirmed.
You can now see we have target him.
Hit them where it hurts.
He's also up here. And let's just fire our lasers. Gatling pulse laser, of course they're called pulse lasers, so beam and lasers. You can see us dealing damage to him here. His shield is gone, his armor is getting destroyed, and now we just need to destroy his structure and then he will blow
Another hostile
up.
ship incoming. A cruiser this time. It's larger and better armed than those frigates. What an exhilarating way to test your combat abilities.
That little icon that showed up here just means that we are getting boosted, meaning that he is repairing our shields. Where the hell is our? Can we please look at our ship instead? There are a lot of enemies, and so these chevrons denotes what class it is. So this is a frigate, this is a cruiser, this is a battle cruiser, and these are battleships. Let's just target him. I might just have to adjust the volume a bit here. Let me just... Yeah, I will definitely turn down the music. That might actually still be too loud looking at OBS. Let's just turn the master volume down a bit. Yeah, let's try with it here.
Now's your chance. Activate the webifier.
So the webifier will decrease or reduce the target ship's velocity, as you can see, by 35%. You can see the velocity here. That will start dropping once he has been webified. At least it should. Not sure what it was actually before, but it should definitely have reduced his max speed, making us easier to hit him with our weapons. Again, he is a cruiser, so he is a higher class ship. He's way bigger than us. Therefore, we should have no real problems targeting him. And hitting him, I should say. So again, we are getting
Captain.
boosted.
You've got potential.
Thank you.
Shit. 2 battleships breaking away from the enemy fleet. They're stopping the last civilian transport from warping away. Watch your 6, Captain. They're bigger and badder than anything you've fought before.
And this is a beautiful battleship, the Mechanical. Such an awesome looking ship.
Captain, we can use electronic countermeasures, ECM, to break the battleship's lock on the civilian transport. Doing so means the battleship will be able to target only one thing: us. There is no other way to save those civilians. They are not capsuleers like you. Their deaths will be final. Yours will be a learning experience.
Yeah, let's call it that.
Once we deploy the ECM, the battleship will begin firing upon us. Remember, you will have a fresh clone waiting for you once your current body is violently destroyed.
That's it. The final group of civilians has escaped. You've done good, Captain.
We're taking heavy fire, Commander Ferris. Once our ship is destroyed, the pod will soon follow. According to my calculations, our destruction is 99.99% certain.
So you can see here we are beginning to lose. We have lost all our shields. We are very quickly losing our armor.
Bastards have me pinned down. I won't be able to reach you in time.
You fought well today, Captain. This is a warrior's death. Luckily for you,
It won't be our last. It definitely won't. First ISK day bonus. What's that?
you are a capsuleer. For you, death is not an end. It is simply the beginning of a new adventure. As always, I will see you on the other side. Welcome back to the world of the living, Captain. I hope your death was not too uncomfortable. Your neural data has been transferred to a fresh clone body. But before you stretch your new legs, someone very important would like to meet you.
Okay, this looks awesome. They definitely upgraded the interior of the stations. Yeah, this looks so sweet.
Allow me to introduce myself. I am Vesper Calatrix, Air's Vice President of Operations. Commander Ferris spoke highly of your courage under fire. You went out with quite the bang. But from what he tells me, you deserve more than just our thanks. In fact, we have some credits waiting for you. The attack on the cloning facility interrupted your integration into Air's career program. We've re-established your connection to the program, and you've already earned a reward.
You can access the Air Career program via your neocom.
Welcome to the program, where capsuleers can forge their own path through New Eden while earning rewards for their progress. Taking part in your first combat and experiencing your first ship loss have already earned you some interstellar credits, aka ISK. You can claim it now.
And this is also new, the Air Career program. I did not have this back in the day. And we got some ISK. So ISK is the in-game currency, where you can basically buy everything you need. The economy in EVE is
As your last ship was
player-driven.
destroyed in a blaze of glory, Air would like to provide you with a new one.
Ooh, I wonder. I don't think we're getting a battleship. Will we be getting an Astero? That's pretty interesting. But yeah, as I said, the economy in EVE is player-driven, meaning that most items are player-manufactured. So whenever a ship gets destroyed, whether in PvP or in PvE, that ship has to be replaced. If you want to, of course, replace it, but that ship has to be replaced by another player building that ship. There is a market where you can buy stuff where there will always be plenty of ships, but yeah, you can technically, if no one is building a certain type of ship, then you can technically run out of those ships within the game.
I will enable your station services panel so that you may board the ship provided to you by Air. Try not to blow this one up so quickly, but if you do, you can acquire a new Corvette at any station.
Yeah, I was just about to say thank you for providing me with the free ship that
Your
you can
next
always
adventure
get
will
for free.
hopefully prove less
And it's so
explosive.
fucking
We have
ugly.
a lead on the attack on the cloning facility, and we want you.
Let me just actually turn the master volume up just a little bit. And then turn the volume of the music down accordingly, like that. Yeah, I was just about to say, you can always get ooh, what are those? I'm sorry, I have squirrel brain, so I see shiny new stuff and I must investigate. So, the Corvette, as you can see here, bought my Corvette. If you ever happen to dock at a station in your pod, which is what we was in before, then you can always get a new Corvette. It is sort of a way that the game provides you with a ship, so you cannot end up in a situation where you cannot begin to earn money. You can always then go back to doing level 1 agent missions and then making money and sort of building your way up if you have lost all of your stuff for some reason. A very big rule in EVE, it's not a rule per se, but it's a rule of thumb, and it's an advice that I was taught. One of the first things I taught in that player corporation I joined, where I ended up as an instructor and doing soft warfare. Never fly something you can't afford to lose. Just because I mean, if your ship gets blown up in space, you will lose it. The ship is gone. It's not like you will just respawn with that ship. It's gone, and everything you have equipped is either destroyed or it's dropped in your wreck, so other people can then loot whatever items you drop. So never fly something you can't afford to lose. There is nothing worse than getting a brand new ship fitted just perfectly and then go out and lose it, and you cannot afford to replace it right away. So general rule of thumb, never fly something you can't afford to lose.
We've debriefed the civilians you saved, and have learned that moments before the attack, they lost contact with one of our research facilities. That facility is in orbit around this solar system's sun. What do you say? Up for a little reconnaissance?
I'm definitely up for the little
Certainly, Miss
reconnaissance.
Calatrix. I am sure we are just as curious as you about what happened.
Excellent. It could just be solar radiation blocking their comms, but I wouldn't bet on it. Fly out to the sun, investigate, and report back on whatever is going on.
You may undock and begin your journey whenever you are ready, Captain.
I mean, this is just so beautiful. I love the visuals in this game. I'm just gonna take a quick look around again, because they definitely upgraded the visuals. Introducing the sovereignty hub. Wonder what that is. Okay, let's just undock. Oh, I wonder if you get it through. Did you? No, okay,
You
I'll
can
just.
navigate a solar system by warping to celestial objects and other locations using your overview. Select the sun in your overview and then warp to it.
That's a pretty cool looking station. But yeah, they definitely upgraded the visuals at one point. We didn't have all of these sort of little things. I don't think so, at least I don't remember. So, this is the overview. And the best way, if you're coming from other MMOs, to think of an overview is to think of it as sort of a mini-map. I try, something I did in my instructor days. I'll probably mention that a lot. But something I did back then was I tried to translate the sort of EVE mechanics into what I knew people were familiar with. So for instance, the overview can be thought of as a sort of a mini-map. It will show you what is around you in your pocket, your room. Instance is also another word, but instance is not the correct term. I would definitely just stick with pocket or room. But it will also show you sort of major, depending on how, of course, you have set up. Because you can see here, if I go to the mining tab, it will then show me asteroid belts, which are not shown up in general. So you can customize and sort of do all kinds of crazy stuff. So if you just have all selected, then you can see what's in your immediate area, being what is shown by either meters or kilometers. And then you have the K, that's of course, so that's 16,000 kilometers away from us. That's another planet. You have another station, that's 18,000 kilometers. And then you have a AU, I think stands for astronomical units. So this shows what is in your immediate pocket or room, and then it shows everything that is in your sector. We will covering that once we get, there are some stuff missing from the UI where we can see stuff like that, but there is let me just show the map real quick. Yeah, and let's just zoom in. So yeah, this is the system that we are in. And the overview just basically shows everything if you go to the All tab that's in this system. So think of it as sort of a mini-map. We will be sticking to general for now because we don't need to see all the planets the general tab will always show other stations. It will always show the sun, unless you change it, of course, and then it will always show the stargates leading out of the system you are in. So stations are squares, the sun is a little round thing with dots around it, and the gates is this sort of square-like thing with an arrow pointing into it. And then other ships are shown here with a little chevron, and I think, I'm not sure if this is default or if this is somehow loading some of my settings. I don't think it would show up like this in general with this sort of white filling too, but maybe. So we need to warp to the sun. You can of course just align to it and approach it, but it will take you many years to actually travel that way to the sun. Luckily, we can warp.
Warp drive active.
And that will allow us to travel much quicker.
Luminosity considerably above retina-destroying levels. Polarizing filters compensating.
Another destroyed station.
It seems safe to conclude that the problem was not just blocked comms.
Brilliant, thank you, Captain Obvious.
Abnormal gravitational waves are emanating from the wreckage. Their source must have been exceptionally powerful for them to be so prominent despite the sun's own gravitational field. There are multiple wrecked ships among the debris. You can loot them to investigate their contents.
I think, yeah, as I said, you can just click open cargo, it will then approach it. I think you have to be within, I think it's 2,500 meters, so 2.5 kilometers within a wreck before you can loot it. And you can see the sort of wreck is, it has a sort of filled out little box square in it. That means that there is loot in these 3 wrecks. We will get to see later what it looks like when there are no loot in the wrecks. But these there are loot in, so let's just, yeah, let's actually turn the afterburn on so we get there quicker.
A mining module.
Ooh.
Curious, there are no asteroids to mine in this location. We should retrieve the item and take it back to Ms. Calatrix. The module has been placed inside your item hangar. You can access it again in the future by reopening your inventory.
Yes.
For now, close your inventory window to proceed. We can return to the station whenever you are ready, Captain.
Nope, there are loot. So I am somewhat of a hoarder in EVE. I will loot everything and I will store everything forever in a station and never ever use most of the items. I think the volume is all over the place. Let's just turn these down a bit, shall we? I think the speech is okay, but let's just turn these down a bit. I might need to twiddle around with the volume a bit. So let's loot this. So this is of course the inventory screen. You can see this is the bowhead wreck here. It has another civilian mining module. And we can simply just, as I did before, drag it. This is our ship. It also has a drone bay. We have no drone. We will get into Plex at a later time. But we now have 2 civilian miners. These are not miners, they are mining laser upgrades. They will make you more efficient at mining. They will make sure that you mine more stuff per activation cycle, and we will cover that in later what an activation cycle is. Okay, so I cannot. Okay, you are limited to a lot of stuff you cannot do in this tutorial, because normally you could stack these two items. You can just place them on top of each other, but normally when you open your inventory, you can right click and then just say stack all. There's also a civilian mining upgrade. These civilian items are basically worthless. So now we need to dock. You can see it's flashing blue where we need to go. So let's just click the dock button.
Warp drive active.
It will automatically warp us, and once it should place us within docking range, and then it will automatically dock with the station. And this looks the same. I don't think they have changed that. What are the graphic settings actually set to? Yeah, okay, that should be, yeah, okay,
Docking permission
everything is
requested. Docking request accepted.
enable green screen. Why would you want to do that? To easily remove backgrounds from screenshot. Interesting.
I'm afraid the research site has suffered the same fate as the cloning facility. This time, however, the wreckage was surrounded by abnormal gravitational waves.
That's not something you need to concern yourself with.
That's definitely something we need to concern ourselves with. The way you said that you are hiding
Ms.
something.
Canatrix, you did ask us to report whatever was going on. It would be remiss of me if I did not note that these readings were quite unusual.
Yes, well, you've reported it, and I have told you that it is not pertinent to this investigation. Did you find anything else?
Okay, some shenanigans is going on
There were a
here.
number of wrecked air vessels at the site. We recovered this mining module from one of them.
A mining module? That cannot be a coincidence. We've just been contacted by one of our agents stationed at a nearby mining site. They've picked up a strange signal, but have been unable to locate its source. We need to find out if there's any connection between this signal and the attacks. You'll need to investigate, but undercover this time. If there is a link, we can't let whoever is behind all this know that we're onto them. Fit the mining module you recovered to your ship. That way you'll look like just another member of the mining fleet.
They are definitely hiding something. I wonder what kind of research they did out there. Maybe some kind of gravitational weaponry or something like that, black hole weapons.
Duly noted, Miss Canatrix. Captain, you can fit the module to your ship by accessing the fitting window from the neocom.
As I've said, there are no real good guys in EVE, and everything goes in this
Let's
universe.
fit your new module in a free slot. Now, bring the module online.
Oh, I'm an
It
idiot.
appears you do not currently possess the skill necessary to use this module. Hardly surprising. You still have much to learn.
Thank you for that.
Please direct your attention to the icon on the display that I have. You can add the missing skill to your training queue here.
How do I need to do that? Press add to queue, train skill. Okay.
Now, access the skill window from the neocom. Skills are essential for all capsuleers in New Eden, as they serve as the primary measurement of one's growth. A more highly skilled pilot will be most formidable indeed.
Yeah, so I will just let her finish.
Training a new skill takes time, as the neural pathways of your brain are rewired. The complexity of this rewiring can be measured through skill points. You have enough unallocated skill points to train the required skill. Do so now. Now, all you have to do is confirm that you wish to use those skill points. The training required for your new module is complete. Your skill queue is now empty.
I should point out that you can train skills while doing other things. It's a good strategy to always have something training. I guarantee other capsuleers will be doing just that. We wouldn't want you to fall behind your peers, would we?
No, we
To that
definitely.
end, I've sent the air skill plan to your AI. Normally, you would have received it as part of your capsuleer training program starter package, but your training was violently disrupted, to say the least.
Miss Calatrix's advice is sound. You should always have a skill in training. Let's start with this new one, and may it be the first of many.
That's perhaps one of the most important things in this game. Always have a skill training.
The more skills you acquire, the stronger you'll be. As you continue to grow as a capsuleer, you can adjust your skill acquisition to achieve your desired goals.
Okay, they changed the skill interface training system a lot.
Now, close the windows crowding your screen.
Yeah, we will just wait with that. I have no idea. So there are skill plans now within the game. Okay, so skills in EVE is how you, I should say, make your character better, but there is a big difference between skills in-game and your skill as a pilot, your personal sort of a computer gaming skill in EVE, because I have seen people with basically just new created accounts who has way less skill points than other sort of people who have been playing EVE for years, being much better at, for instance, PvP. PvP is a big difference where, of course, your skills, these skills here, they of course matters, and they matter a lot, but you can definitely make a big impact and a huge difference with basically just the most basic skills trained, and you can go out and kill very highly skilled, high skilled players in terms of skills, how many skill points and skills they have trained. So skills are of course important. It allows you to fly bigger, more advanced ships, different classes of ships. I shouldn't say better ships, because there are no best ship in EVE, so to speak. It all depends on what you want to do, because the ship kind of defines what kind of class you are in EVE, whether you are a damage dealer or a tank, or if you are a healer or some kind of support. So there isn't a best ship. It's not like the Titans, which is the biggest ship in the game and probably the last ship you will train up to. It's the end game ship. It's not like the Titan is better than a frigate or a corvette, which is this basic ship you're getting. You cannot make sort of those distinctions in EVE, saying that a Titan is better than a frigate. They serve two very different roles. And just because a frigate will never be able to kill a Titan, I'm not sure a Titan would ever be able to kill a frigate in just a straight one-on-one combat. Maybe if the Titan used small drones, small fighter drones, then it definitely would. But just the weaponry that the Titan have would never be able to hit a frigate. So you can't say, and for instance, you cannot say that a cruiser is a better ship necessarily than a frigate. They serve somewhat similar roles, but they are different classes of ships. And a lot of people will look at EVE and look at the big ships, the carriers, the Titans, the super carriers, and go, oh, I want to fly that. I want to fly the best ships, the end game ships. But in my opinion, those ships are the most boring. I mean, I did fly a carrier at one point in EVE, very briefly. But I would say that the most fun I've had in PvP were in cruiser or battleship-sized fleets, where that is sort of the ship classes you are flying compared to flying in a capital fleet. Those can get really boring because of the role that those ships fill. But yeah, skills are where it's all at. And let's see, how is that skill catalog? And this is also what turns, I think, a lot of people off on EVE, because you don't have a normal level system. It's not like in World of Warcraft where you go out and kill 10 bears and collect 5 bear asshole. You then go back and return it in, and you gain a level, you gain access to new stuff. Now in EVE you have to train all of these, not all of them of course, but there are all of these different skills in these categories. And you need to always train skills. You train skills even when you log out of the game, and you can see how long it takes. And if you upgrade to Omega, then you will train at 2 times speed. So for instance, this, let's just say this skill here takes 2 hours. If you are Omega, it will only take 1 hour. I know it's 2 hours and 36 minutes, and that will then get halved, bringing it down to 1 hour and some 16 minutes or something like that. So there are all these kinds of different categories. Armor, of course, relating to armor tanking skills. Cooperation management, that is if you want to be a leader of a playered corporation. This will allow you to have more corp members, and I think that's all it does. Yeah. Oh, it also reduces cost to hire allies in wars. That's a new skill, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, basically just corporation management skill just increases how many members you can have in your corporation. There is a big difference between being the sort of corporation founder and holding sort of the CEO title than being actually leader of the corp, because normally the one with the highest corp skills would always just sit in the CEO position, because his skills is those applying to the corp, and if he has level 5, you can have a lot of members. And it may be someone else running the corps. Then you have drones, pertaining to everything relating to drones, electronic systems being electronic warfare, jamming other people, target painting, propulsion jamming, all kinds of different stuff. We'll get into all of that later. Engineering, fleet support, gunnery, covering all the different kinds of turrets. Missile, of course, covering missiles, torpedoes, and rockets. Navigation, pertaining to how quickly your ship can move. There's also some jump skills. We will get into all of this later. But yeah, all of these skills takes time. It's real time that it requires. But it trains whether or not you're online or offline. It doesn't really matter. So you should always be training some skills. And then apparently there are skill plans in the game which helps out, I think, hugely with new players if they have no ideas what to train. Luckily, the corporation I joined had a sort of skill list where you had to have these skills at this level in order to graduate. That's one of the prerequisites we had to have in order to join the nullsec soft warfare corp. You had to have some of these basic engineering skills, for instance, navigation skills, armor and shield skills up to a certain level, and also spaceship commands. This is where all of the different ship types are in. And as I said in the beginning, you may start as a Caldari character, or in my case, a Galente character, but you can train Amar cruisers, so you can fly Amar cruisers. You can, of course, fly every single ship there is in the game. You just have to train it. But because we started with the Galente, we, of course, begin with some Galente ship skills. But yeah, there are lists you can find online, and I will try to prepare one, just being the most basic skills you would need to just sort of equipping the most basic starter items and getting perhaps your basic skills going, and just, knowing what kind of skill. But there are a ton of guides online. I think it's 25 skills, I want to say, something like that, but being the most basic common skills. Let me actually just check that real quick. I'll be back in an instant. Yeah, it's not 25. It's something called the Magic 14. I'm not sure if that info is still relevant, but it should be. But yeah, the Magic 14, if you want to, let me just see if you cannot search the Magic 14 Eve. Yeah, just search the Magic 14 in Eve, the Magic 14 Eve. Then you get your sort of basic skills that you need in order to fit a lot of, the starter items, just being able to fit and equip a lot of basic ships. And there is a vast difference between being able to fly a ship and actually being able to fit and equip the ship and use it properly, because a lot of people I saw back in the day would just straight up laser beam focus, said, oh, I want to fly a cruiser. Oh, get Galente frigate too. Let's just see if I can find the Galente cruiser skill. Shouldn't it be right here? A Mark cruiser? Where the hell is the Galente? Oh, it's right down here for some reason. So yeah, we could actually begin training Galente cruisers. So a lot of people would just, oh, I want to fly cruisers. Oh, I want to fly battleships. I will just very quickly train up to fly. No, we cannot fly cruisers. No, we need some skills. That's what this red icon shows. But they would very quickly just, laser beam focus up to cruiser and battleship. And then you would try and talk to them and say, okay, fine, now you can actually board. You can board another ship. Now you can actually equip a ship, but can you fit it? Can you equip the items that you need to actually be, effective in doing missions or doing PvP with that ship that you have just laser focused trained for? So I think it's definitely very important to get the Magic 14 skills to the needed skill levels, and then it might be a bit boring. And as I said, it's definitely something that turns a lot of people off from EVE, with having to fly the same class of ships for extended periods of time while they sort of build up their backbone with the skills needed to progress into the next tier of ships. I would much rather personally have all the skills needed. For instance, before I start to fly cruisers, I would much rather have all the skills needed to equip that cruiser with the proper items and then train the cruiser skill, instead of training the cruiser skills and then working on the items I need and sort of piecemeal equipping that cruiser. One thing you can do that I never ever in my wildest imagination thought that E would do. I mean, I would swear back in the days that E would never do that, but you can actually buy skill points now. It's something that I did not believe they would ever do, but you can buy skill points that you can eject. And let me just see if I can actually find apply skill points. Yeah, let's just apply. We had 10 remaining skill points. It doesn't make a huge difference. So yeah, you can buy these alpha injectors if you are an alpha clone, and you would gain 50,000 unallocated skill points that you can then just spend on your skill points. There are, of course, while you are an alpha clone, you can only train the skills that are gray. You need to be Omega if you want to train these yellow dots. So for instance, I cannot train Galente frigate level 5. I can only train it up to level 4 as long as I'm an alpha. But you can buy skill points. You cannot apply those skill points in Omega skills if you are not an Omega clone. And only one daily alpha injector can be used per day, and you must be in the alpha clone state. So yeah, if you are Omega, you can just buy a bunch of skill injectors. There are different type of skill injectors that you can then eject. And if I remember correctly, can I actually see my skill? Yeah, total skill points. This is how many skill points we have in total. There are diminishing returns when you buy the skill injectors as an Omega clone. For instance, if I remember correctly, you may buy a 1 million skill booster that gives you 1 million skill points. But if you have, let's just say, over 5 million skill points in total, that 1 million skill point injector will only give you, for instance, 500,000. So there are these tiers, these sort of thresholds where if you have a lot of skill points and you buy a skill injector, you get less skill points than what you would get if you have less skill points. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, skills is kind of where it all is. Just try and remember that skills are not really as important as it seems. Of course, it matters. I'm not saying that. But I have seen, and I know there's a corporation that really hammered this sort of idea down called Brave, where they just went against sort of established dogma in EVE, where, oh no, you have to have skills are so important. You cannot be in soft warfare if you do not have at least 100 million skill points. Oh no, you cannot. And Brave sort of went the other way and did, you know what? Let's just see what happens if we get a million. Of course not a million. I don't think, and I'm not sure how many people are playing EVE, but let's just, for the sake of argument, hammer it home with, let's just get a million low skill point players. Let's get them into a fleet and let's just go do soft warfare with a million low skill players. And it turned out it was extremely successful. They managed to carve out quite a big chunk of nullsec. And they are still to this day very active in soft warfare. And I think they still go by this philosophy that, you know what, let's just have fun. Let's break away from established dogma, from this idea that, oh no, you need many million skill points to be effective in soft warfare, and new players have nothing to do in soft warfare. You need to be experienced and having played EVE for 50 years and, have all the skills trained. They broke away from that and they did it extremely successful. I know they took a lot of flack. There were a lot of people hating on Brave when they did that, but they proved their point and they made it fucking work, and I have the utmost respect for what they did back then. And I hope they are still sticking to their guns and doing it that way. I have actually thought of trying to get into soft warfare, and I think if I ever do get back into soft warfare with my main, I think I'm going to try and join Brave, because I really loved what they did back then, because it was something that I tried to do as an instructor, just, teach people that, yes, your skill points are important, but what matters most is experience in sort of, just go out in a frigate, go out and try and engage people in PvP, in low sec, get into null sec, just jump in a frigate, jump in a fucking cheap ass frigate with just basic weapons, tanking, E warfare, jamming. I forgot what they're called. They're not webifiers. Webifiers are the ones that reduces your speed, but you have things, you have items that allows that can stop other players from warping away from you, sort of escaping if you manage to target them and then get this item on you. I completely forgot what the fuck that item is called. Let me just look it up real quick. I may remember it. Can I not actually open the market?
Turn the module online.
No, okay. I will try and remember what that's called, and let's get on with the tutorial for now.
Well done, Captain. You can now close the fitting window.
Looks like you're ready to go, Captain. We've sent the details of your assignment to your Opportunities interface.
You can access the Opportunities interface via your neocom. Opportunities can help you discover key information.
We've uploaded the key information on your assignment here. Whenever you're ready to take the next step in our investigation, you can click here to begin.
This is also new, this entire activity and opportunities thing. That's also a new thing. That's actually really, really cool.
Our agent will rendezvous with you at the mining site. Keep your eyes open and watch your six. This is New Eden, after all. You never know what danger is lurking around the next Stargate.
Miss Calatrix is right. Time is of the essence. I suspect something nefarious might be occurring at the air mining site. Undock from the station so we can begin our journey there.
Well, this sounds like it's a okay place to put a cut in the video. So I will just, let me just see, I'll just pause the recording real quick and see if I cannot find the name of those items. Of course, they are called warp scramblers, so you would say I'm getting scrammed. That means that you are unable to warp away. This is an item you can equip in the med slots. This is the market, by the way. We will get into that at another point. There are also disruptors, warp disruptors and warp scramblers. This will allow you to sort of pin your target down and make sure that they cannot warp away from you. And that's one of the things I would say people do not just get in a frigate, equip a warp scrambler or a warp disruptor. I forgot which is which and which one does what. Just go on a frigate, equip some weapons, go out into nullsec, get a warp scrambler, and just start, you know, engaging targets and getting some PvP experience, because that matters so much more than actual skill points. Of course, you cannot expect to kill everything, but I mean, I have seen people take out, you know, a lot of ships that they shouldn't have been able to take out just because they were much more experienced in PvP, and they knew what the ship they were flying could and could not do, and they knew what the enemy was flying and what they could do and could not do in that ship. So yeah. But as I said, I think this is a good place to place a cut in the video. It has also been 1 hour. So I hope you are enjoying the series. If you have any pointers, any feedback, please let me know. But as always, thanks for all the fish, guys. Please take care of yourself, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.